Welcome to Life Point TV. I'm Pastor Del Phillips, your host for Life Point, your path to real life. Um, we are in a very interesting teaching taken from the third chapter of the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 20. And I want to just refresh our understanding about the background here. Verse 20 says, Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. Uh, the background reminds us that this message, this statement, this declaration, or we could even call this an invitation. This is to the church at Laodicea. This represents a message that God uh, sends to believers, not to unbelievers. This is a message to believers to say to us where we have closed doors, closing God off. God says, I'm taking a position, I'm standing at that door and I'm knocking, rapping, constant, continual knocking. And I'm calling out to you because he says, if any man will hear my voice, he's not only knocking, he's calling out. And I want to strongly suggest that when he's calling to us, he's speaking to us in a language that we can understand him. These are it's a message to get our attention, to remind us of our relationship with him, to remind us of his commitment to us. So he's not talking to us in terms or using uh, uh, illustrations or using concepts of things that we would not understand, things that would not be applicable to us. He calls out to us not only by name, but by specific conditions regarding what is taking place in our life. He's speaking directly to us, to you and I individually, to the church at large. Because I told you this has this dual application. This is to the church, local church at large. This is to the individual, the believers that are part of the body of Christ. He speaks to us at the very point or place of our need. Where we have closed him off, God is desiring to enter back in, but he will not open that door. That's our theme. This is the door that God will not open. Wow. He calls to us. He says, if any man will hear my voice, so you have to hear him. Knocking and calling, you have to hear him. But if we hear him, and I like this if that's used here, if we take a look at the grammar and the syntax of the verse itself, this word if is what is usually considered to be a we would call a part of speech that is conditional. So it's a conditional particle. It implies that there are certain stipulations that are established here, and based on the outcome of those stipulations, we will see a particular results or resolve. Uh, there's also underlying in this conditional particle, it strongly suggests um, Jesus is saying, if any man will hear my voice, he's saying he cannot predetermine the outcome. So he's saying if he's providing an indefinite uh, confirmation of what will happen, an indefinite certainty. There's no specific certainty that he can identify in regards to your response. He's leaving it up to you. He's not saying that he's going to control this outcome. It's up to you. If it proposes an uncertainty in regards to the response. If any man will hear my voice, hear him knocking. If you will hear, then these are the following results. Now, what is true, what is absolute are the results. What's uncertain is your response. Let me say that again. The absolute in this equation is what God will do. The uncertainty is your or my response. He says, if we open that door, he will come in. By itself, that should be enough. That should be significant enough to convince us to open the door. He will come in. He will enter. He will not turn away from us. He will not deny us. He will enter in. He will not try to block us. He will enter in. He will come in and sup with us. And we can sup with him. Man, I don't have time, so we're going to have to bring closure to this in our next teaching. I want you to don't miss the conclusion to this teaching. You need to understand that term sup is a reference to a significant evening meal. Only understood when we provide the background of the Jewish culture in respect to the evening meal. So don't miss the conclusion on this teaching. This is Pastor Dale Phillips encouraging you to stay on the path that leads to real life.